We've done a bunch with Sister Patricia and Brother Shane, but it's just the two of us here right now. And Jen has something on her heart. I'm going to quickly run and grab some water here. I'll bring you some. You give the intro.
Okay, so I just been watching a lot of news media. I don't watch legacy news, but I do see what everybody posts on Facebook and Rumble and etc. etc. And I watch some non-mainstream media, and I watch a lot of world news. And to be honest, what's been on my heart lately is just how easily my fellow Canadians are distracted and divided and hating on one another and trying to pick a side between left and right and who should be the next prime minister. And to be honest, they're all the same. I am not a political person. I'm pretty apolitical. I know that there's a happy medium if we're united together. And it just seems to me that you guys have forgotten most of Canada. You guys are all fighting, and all I see is Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec. And they're all some of the BC that you like is northeastern BC, like, because they're pretty much Alberta. You forgot about the Yukon Territory. They're a totally different type of Canadian. You forgot about the Northwest Territories. They're totally different type of Nova Scotia, etc. Is it not online?
Keep going.
Okay, and it's not. Each province and territory has a different type of set of Canadians that live in it, and they have their own way. And so, I mean, if you look at, I live in Northwest British Columbia, and most of us we're not conservative. We're certainly not liberal. We have no use for the NDP. Some of us like the PPC list, but not environmentalists like Vancouver. The only thing that'll save you is electric. We're got some conservative thinking and some sort of lefty sort of thinking. We believe in a lot of people outside of Whitehorse, they actually pretty much live off grid. So, I mean, they know that diesel is important, but there's other ways to do things too. And I see you guys fighting. I see you fighting, over... They have you guys, shot or not just shot, like whatever, with the COVID thing. They have religious beliefs. They have you fighting over, LGBT... there's so many letters now, I'll just say alphabet people, right? Every single one of these parties, I don't care what party it is, the COVID...
Keep going.
It's a scam. There's so many. It's an out and outright scam. Like, all of them. The conservatives were quiet for 2.5 years on every little thing, and they just let the liberal side do whatever they wanted, and they argued some points, and when you listen to them, they cared more about carbon tax than they did about, I don't know, what they cared whether or not, people were getting slammed into the ground by cops, They didn't say anything during the whole mandate thing or whatever. Until the truckers decided to go in. Now they're just hopped right on that.
The different political parties, you have Democrats and you have Republicans, okay? But up here in Canada, we've got the independents, but we've got multiple political parties. So we've got NDP, we've got Liberal, we've got Green Party, we've got the PPC,
Bloc Québécois.
the Bloc Québécois party as well, and the one thing through all of this plan, a lot of the the mandates that were being made, and the problem that I see with the conservative and anybody that so forth. Well, I gotta ask the question: where the heck were you at the beginning when all of this started? When the governmental overreach started. With that being said, I'm not a huge fan of politics. You know, I pay attention to politics. I hear about it. Jen's always telling me something new, and but at the end of the day, I really don't care when you look at politicians. My father-in-law put it best when he said, "When you vote, you need to vote for the one who's lying to you the least." But honestly, you're still voting for a liar. Picking the lesser of two evils, you're still choosing evil.
I don't get it because, and this is a pretty political post, and this is why we did it outside of our Watchmen on the Wall ministries, because that is focused on the PPC, yeah. And oh my goodness, what's the difference between capitalism, socialism, and communism? All I see is three things of the same, whatever, the same coin, I guess, because they all are basically the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. It is the I don't know. It's the same. It's the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Nobody gets, like, it's like the last form of slavery. Really, like we I was thinking about it today. I was like, hey, in capitalism, they say that, you can be anything you want. You can work hard. You can, kind of have that American dream sort of thing. You can get ahead in life and you can be a success and if you work really hard, and anybody can do it. But that's not true, because you work hard and you better your business, or and you die off, and that's new product.
The whole agenda, as it were, of capitalism is summed up simply as work hard. Now hear me on this one. You are running your business into the ground, and you need, or maybe you're not running your business into the ground, but now people aren't seeing a need for the product that you're selling, okay? And your business declines for whatever reason, and you need to actually get a government bailout or a subsidy, then that's not capitalism. Total control to the government. We rely upon the government, okay? What we've missed, or what majority of the population has missed, is that without us, there would be no need for a government. But without the government, we would still be here. Government needs the people don't need the government. The government is supposed to be working for the people, but the government is actually working for itself.
It's a corporation.
It is.
It's a corporation like any other corporation. And if it's a capitalist thing, I'm an environmentalist. I believe in creation. I believe in sustainable ways of doing things. For example, let's look at natural gas, okay? I do know, as an environmentalist, that natural gas burns, mix it with a whole bunch of unknown chemicals and force it into the ground to get out little bits of natural gas, which they call fracking or fracturing. That's not natural gas. That's now chemical gas, And I'm fine with burning natural gas. You want to burn natural gas? Burn natural gas. But because of the division that you guys have between left and right all the time, between, G is evil or LNG is so needed, you forget the fact that actually we can make natural gas. We can make natural gas out of our thrown away rotten food.
It's called methane.
Yeah, it's called methane.
That's what natural gas is methane. No, we don't need to sugarcoat it anymore. You can call it natural gas all you want, okay? But at the end of the day, it's methane. And methane is produced from bodily waste that is essentially rotting. So sewers. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why you have vent pipes in your house, is to allow that gas. Septic systems have vent pipes on them, so it allows the gas to escape so it doesn't build up and explode. Okay, that gas is methane. That gas can actually be harnessed. It also comes from when your fruit trees drop fruit because you don't get to them fast enough, they start rotting. They're releasing methane. Okay, all your compost methane. It's the rotting. It's the deterioration. It is actually the composting process. Longer period of time. Others release it quickly.
So okay? the point is that if nobody looks at the happy medium ground, so they cause division. So the corporation gets richer, no matter what it is, and most corporations for LNG in Canada are foreign owned. If not all of them are foreign owned. So the foreign companies are getting richer. So instead, the Canadian people, they get temporary work, yeah, and they'll make a little bit of money, but that all goes back to bills anyway, and you're barely making by, and I'm not sure how you guys see that is success, because you can make it. You can take water, and you can mix it with all these stuff my husband was talking about. You can make the LNG, the natural gas, you can make the propane, and then you can take that water and you can use it as free fertilizer. So instead of you guys complaining like you're doing in the prairies about in Canada with all your guys letting the government divide you, because up in the Yukon and up in Northwest BC, we do that kind of stuff all the time. We make our own stuff to provide for our needs, and and you just assume that all BC people are pot smoking vegans, and that's not true, right? Northwest BC has plenty of hunters, and they like their guns, and they like their, So that, to me, as an environmentalist, that's a happy medium. That's fine to have natural gas, just, and then I look at it as, you see the arguments and the fighting, and you say that BC deserves what they get from the NDs. We are fighting pipelines. Well, you obviously don't know the impacts that the pipelines are having on our lives. It's not just the environment, it's our lives. So, for instance, the protesting that's going on a few hours the road. But the government and the foreign corporation that owns the LNG pipeline, the CGL and the LNG Canada, and John Horgan and the Conservative Party and all the other people, they don't like being told what to do. They don't want to compromise. They don't want to have dialogue. They, just like in Ottawa with the truckers, they just came in and violently pushed and bulldozed these people off their home, and that, whether or not you hurt, they are hurting these people, and these people have been here long before, the Wet'suwet'en were there long before CGL or LNG decided to build a pipeline from Northeast BC. Like, they could have compromised and had a wonderful thing and moved it across, because no matter what government is, it's totalitarian. It's a corporation. They want their way. They'd rather spend 6.8 million taxpayer dollars.
Actually, it's more than that. But the point is there.
They'd rather the taxpayers pay, and I think the pipeline would have been done if they would have listened to these people in the long run, and stuff. But that's not the only impact it has on people. Guys in other provinces were to come to the Northwest. it doesn't impact everybody in a positive way. Yeah, okay, there are a lot of people up here that got a temporary job with LNG to keep their job and maintain said pipeline or whatever. But there are impacts to other people. It messes with the watersheds in the rural areas where, our well water, our drinking water kind of gets messed with when you're bulldozing and digging and blasting the ground. It causes renovictions because, people know that the corporation will pay them, $2,500 a month for a 1-bedroom place, so they'll kick out the person. Rents have skyrocketed because there's a boom going on, and when that boom is over, that's what happened with the Alcan modernization in Kitimat, for instance. There was this huge boom, lots of people got renovicted, places got more expensive, hotels were built, they were planning for so many years of work and jobs, and then Alcan. My grandfather was a logger, I'm all for logging, but the way you're doing it is not what my grandfather would say as a logger. He would say, only cut down the timber, keep the old growth, because the old growth feeds the timber gets healthy, and you get the timber. And instead, the corporations, born in BC and in Alberta, they just come in and they clear cut everything. They just bulldoze the whole thing.
And this is...
And they just leave it.
And this is always the biggest problem, is that you'll hear the same argument concerning logging. Well, we're planting trees, and the problem is that they're not replacing the trees that they're cutting down. They're cut, cedar and Sitka spruce, and they're planting pine in its place. And that is actually messing with the ecosystem. I recognize the need for certain resources, but I also recognize that when you rape the land of said resources without actually replacing it, you're creating a whole new ecosystem. Forget about the watersheds. Forget about the spawning areas in the rivers, because you got activities going on that are creating mudslides in the last of years. Okay, there's a variety of plants and trees feed a variety of animals and bugs and etc. And when you change that ecosystem, now those animals, those bugs, the birds, to survive, you are essentially killing. No matter how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of trees you end up planting, you're not replacing the ecosystem.
The problem is moose won't, and caribou, for instance, and stuff like that, they won't eat. Not too many animals that like pine, usually. And usually what grows underneath pine is moss and mushrooms, and then the pine will dry out and pine beetles will get in as things. And when they do logging. So since you guys only care about the 5 provinces, and I live in BC, but I did live in the Yukon, and when you go to the Yukon, for instance, which is the most beautiful, beautiful place ever, and I would live there in a heartbeat if I could handle the 4 months of darkness in the wintertime, which I can't. But when you go to the Yukon, they have an amazing logging industry going on up there. But the ecosystem itself is so diverse, so diverse. They do a lot of and lakes and creeks and it's wonderful up there, But let's look at the oil and gas. So, I've seen lots of people arguing with me on Facebook, and they'll say, "Well, have you ever seen what happens when a pipeline is finished being built?" Yes, I have. And I can compare, the pipelines in British Columbia and the pipelines in the Yukon and the pipelines in Alberta. And I can also compare it to American states like Alaska and West Virginia. And I can tell you that the Yukon and West Virginia and Alaska do a lot better. And they do it sustainably, and they do it clean. And if you want an environmentalist to accept certain things, if you do it a little more sustainably, like Alaska, West Virginia and stuff, I think they'd be more open to hearing about a pipeline. But when you come in like you did, like you're doing, then environmentalists get, and they're like, you've ruined everything for a pipeline that's what? How big is the diameter of an LNG pipeline? It's not huge, not enough to take out, 400 acres of forest.
The swath that they've done up here by Onion Lake is it's ridiculous. It's way beyond that area. Okay, like as close to the road. Like they basically cleared as close to the road as they can clear. There's no trees in that area. That 400 yard stretch. That you can see far back,
like Alaska and stuff, where they work with the ecosystem, because they know, Alaskans will know, that not just oil and gas is their livelihood, but hunting is their livelihood, fishing is a livelihood, logging is a livelihood to them. West Virginia is the same way. That hunting is our way of life, that fishing is our way of life, that we may need oil thing. It's not, if you do it in a sustainable way. That goes, for electric cars. Electric cars, hydro dams are so you can drive, what is it, a Prius in Vancouver.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Up here, and I'm just going to tell you guys from your 5 provinces, we are just like you in Alberta, up in the northwest BC here, and up in the Yukon. We can't drive a Tesla unless we live in a big city, or a Prius, or a little electric car sort of thing. That's not going to do us any good.
On the environment.
Besides, part of the car is made out of oil and gas anyway.
Yeah, but okay.
Never mind child slave labor.
Yeah, never mind the whole child slave labor. But on top of it all, It's the same as with natural gas that we were talking about, okay? It's not the end result that we have a problem with. It's how we get to it.
Yeah.
So the end does not justify the means, okay? And I have a Dodge Ram 1500 pickup truck, 5.7 liter Hemi in it. It's got a big engine. It takes a lot of fuel. So, and I mean, I love my truck. I'm not wanting to get rid of my truck, and I really don't see an electric truck anytime soon that I like that could actually do what I need a truck. I need a truck to do things. Okay,
it's not viable.
It's really not viable. An electric vehicle. I see quite a lot of Teslas around here and a lot of other electric vehicles around here. Okay, in town. Okay, sure. That'll work for you. But for us, we're out in the bush. We're going things so badly because they can, that they've cut off the option of hemp fuel.
That's just one option.
They've cut off a lot of options. Down in the States, they have E85 gasoline at the pumps.
Which, by the way, is like a $200 part you can put on your truck, and you can use, that's a free market option, and biodiesel and hemp fuel is also another option that, and these are just environmental issues that you guys, but you have the left side saying it's going to be a huge catastrophe if we don't go all electric. That's one thing they're dividing you on. I mean, the other thing is you guys are, wanting that there are people like for instance in the East. Now, I've never been to Nova Scotia. Oh my goodness, there are starving homeless people in Canada. There are starving people on, all over Canada. Why did you let the government dictate how you sell your potatoes? Because they shut down truckers? Well, truckers, why did the farmer pay you to travel to the stores to get, You guys all would have made profit and the government would have been taken out of the equation. Who cares? Could have done that. You're dumping milk. You're killing your livestock or a charter of rights to tell me I'm a free person and I can live the way I want to live. It's ridiculous that I don't have an option what to put in my truck because some government that it's all Putin's fault that the gas prices are so high. No, it's not. Putin's across the ocean. You're standing right in front of me. You're supposed to be my representatives, government. What the heck does Putin have? I don't get my oil and gas from Putin. I thought Alberta was rich in oil. So why am I not getting it, from... And that's the thing is, in Alberta, and it's like cattle country, and there's a cow go into the grocery store. I don't eat meat, but you guys just go kill the cow across the road in Alberta, or at least the Alberta parts I've been in. I don't understand why you guys are letting. We are supposed to stick to China. It doesn't belong to the Canadian government. I don't care what party they're from. It doesn't belong. It belongs to us because we live on the land. I don't understand the idea of crown land. No. This is the people's land. When Canada first came to be and all that stuff like that, when the people from Hungary and they were running away from tyranny to come here to settle, they worked together with the Indigenous people. They learned how to survive from the Indigenous people. They traded ideas. It's the whole idea that the settlers came, why we have Métis. And we all joined together on what the Indigenous called Turtle Island. And we made this land a home. And we had new laws. And we knew what it was to be free. And they imprisoned the people. They're the ones that gave the alcohol to the Indigenous. They're the ones that gave the smallpox and the blankets. Those are who the Indigenous called the colonials. And they are the ones that are running you now. So as far as I'm concerned, as a person that's so non-political, all I can say is, from what I have seen, I care about people and I care about planet. So I care because this is my home. This is where I was born. I am part of the land. And that you guys have a way to provide. As far as I'm concerned, Justin Trudeau can be shipped off to China, off to whatever communist like the cattlemen in Alberta, and having to use Monsanto seeds so they can save their seeds and save money. They can help them get fertilizer because you guys have a lot of cow manure kicking around. That is beautiful fertilizer. And he pays for soil when there's soil in the bush, but whatever. You guys can help the farmers. They shouldn't have to pay for fertilizer when you guys get tons of it. You guys can work out a deal. You guys can either do a barter system or a cash system. Don't let them do to us what they've been doing like they did in the States. Any small oil refinery or small oil company that started in the States, the big oil companies went to the government and they lobbied and they pushed and they shut down those small businesses. Mm-hmm. And they didn't make it because the oligarchies, that's what I call them, oligarchies, like the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and Chinese corporations, whatever, they're the ones that shut down those small businesses, and they've done that to you. You guys who work in the oil and gas industry, you don't work for Canada or the Canadians. You work for foreign corporations, but you could work for Canadians if you guys, you pipe fitters and oil drillers and stuff. You guys don't have to work for this tar sands company which is owned foreignly. You can all come together and start a business. We as Canadians can come together and just say, forget it to the elite. We run the country, our land. The only way to keep our land glorious and free is by us. The truckers may have woken us all up, and they went and blessed their hearts. There was actually more violence arrests. There's been over 1,100 arrests, and all they want, go ahead and cut down the pine trees you've planted. That's cool. Just leave the old, like, my goodness, they don't grow back, right? And that's just, but you guys are letting them divide. You guys are arguing on who should be a conservative, and you're screaming for this Pierre guy, and then respect for Elizabeth May of the Green Party when she was Green Party of Canada, until I caught her in 2 lies. One on national television, one in Parliament. She lied. That was it for me.
They all lie.
But they all lied. They all sit there and argue. If you want a government so bad, have a local government, have a local police. And if you want a federal government, the only people that I cared to listen to, even remotely, was the Canadian Senate. I mean, my goodness, you guys are telling me now there's a bill that came out that the NDP voted in favor with the Liberals, and now the Liberal Justin Trudeau can shut down the Parliament anytime till he wants, till September. Who's running the country then? Who's making any sort of bills? Like, what is going on if Parliament is shut down?
You show up, vote on a bill unanimously.
If happens that a bill is put through and voted on, and usually because there's now a little mistress coalition going on between the NDP and the Liberals, the bill will pass in the House of Commons, but it has to go to the Senate. And from what I can see, and I've watched Senate debates and stuff, they're pretty reasonable people. So tell me again why we have a House of Commons. Tell me again why you guys assume that we have to have a prime minister in the first place.
And why do you assume that any of those
guys, during your little pandemic things or whatever, you guys got completely cut off of jobs. You got your whole businesses and shut down and everything, and these guys went on vacation because they could. They had islands and shut down their businesses and keep their kids out of school. And no, their kids are all in private school. They drive around in fancy cars.
They're too good to put their kids in the same school that they're telling you to put your...
As far as Ontario. And I was looking at some of the reserves. And some reserves are really nice. And they're well kept. And they have their own hydro company. And they have their own, water companies. And schooling and doctor's office. And they have their own town, so to speak. And they share potlucks. And they're wonderful. And then you go, you'll go to a different reserve. And it's run down and it's beaten down, and you're like, well, why don't these people take care of it? Because of their elected government. Their elected government gets all the money, and they do colonial government. It's the same. They get all the benefits. They get the fancy vacations and the fancy cars and the big houses, and they have a house from whatever province they're from, and they also have a house off, and you work your butts off to help your family and everything, and you're in poverty. We the people have all the power. We're the farmers, the fishers, the hunters, the off-gridders. We're the guardians of the land. Province. We know our city and town we live in. We are the ones that know how to tell me what I want in Terrace, right? This is my home. I know they're saying they want. But, and you know what your neighbors want. And we're the ones that can govern each other. My husband's touching me because I have French blood in me and I like to move when I talk. My hands all the time. I talk with my hands. But that's what I'm saying is now is the time. I'm honestly at the point where, I looked at all these kind of separative. I don't want separation from Canada. I want Canada.
Like that picture you're looking at right now says, proud to be Canadian.
I want separation from my provincial government. I don't want a premier. I don't want an MLA because they don't represent me. My MLA, he goes down. He gets kickbacks from everything. Same with my MP, He doesn't even live where I live, and he has come up here and he loves it up here and he likes the nature and stuff like that. But then he goes off to Ottawa and he says everything that Jagmeet Singh says because he likes Jagmeet Singh. But he doesn't listen to what people want. You know? I think we need to govern each other, like ourselves, our own local area. We know what we want. We know what's necessary and needed, and we can sit down and work together as a people. You know, if somebody wants, you know, not from, you know, that's what we need. And I think that's, you know, I'm losing my voice now, but that's really all I just wanted to say is stop fighting. Stop dividing. You don't have to believe in the word climate change. Use the word human greed. It's human greed. They don't care about us. They just want money. It's just human greed. All of it. The whole corporation. Like J.R.R. Tolkien said, I just love this quote, is happened to the world is the Industrial Revolution. Because there's still child slavery. You guys they keep it, you don't get it back. And then they tax you elsewhere. And you know what? Even as an environmentalist, I'm going to defend you guys on this carbon tax. Because the carbon tax is to tax the people that never taxes the rich.
And before you say that the rich end up paying more or paying the same amount, only they use more, they can afford to buy more, blah, 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 blah. It's all business expense, so it's all tax write-offs.
And they
get subsidies. It's pointless.
So
it is pointless.
You're paying carbon tax, and on top of their carbon tax with your taxpayer money anyway.
So how does that make you feel?
So I can agree with you, it's a myth.
It's called a tree.
It's called a tree. Plant a tree. Because, Liz, you would think I would be on board with it, but it's stupid. Just like I told our councilmen, they want to do a pipeline from our natural hot springs where we live all the way to the pellet plant, which is
it'd take me probably half an hour to drive there from where it is.
We're like you guys in Alberta. We get 40 below 2 and about 17 feet.
But generally on average, probably around 20. But we have gotten cold snaps, 35 below. But the whole point though is it always looks better on paper.
Yeah.
But when you really dig into it, I'm talking about just anything in general, when you really dig into it, if it is too good to be true, it probably is.
I think we all, as just a country, need to work together and skip the corporations. I'm okay with you guys having oil and gas if that's what you want, but I'm asking for alternatives.
For the opportunity.
The opportunity to have an alternative fuel. Like, I just, what if I want hemp gasoline? There are inventors of that in Canada. In Canada. I mean, you guys in Alberta, you geniuses, you guys actually made a plane completely out of hemp that runs on hemp fuel. Look at you guys go. So if you guys think that us BCers are all potheads and we got cannabis figured out, well, you guys, just proved us wrong. So, and look at the people in the Yukon. They've been pretty self-sufficient. They don't really need a government. And when you go into the actual city of Whitehorse and stuff, they're still pretty, you got backwoods, so to speak, I guess.
God bless you.
Vancouverites wouldn't know what to do in Whitehorse. They would just say it's, too small for them. And then the people in Northeast BC, I get it. You guys make a living with the whole fracking, drilling thing, but, you can still make a living by making it. Go up there and build a compost plant and make your own LNG, and then you're not working for China anymore. You're working for Canada with Canada Natural Gas, and you're selling it, and that's fine to have a pipeline. Just be kind. Don't destroy our watersheds. Don't bulldoze our entire forests and do it nice and be nice to the people like the Wet'suwet'en. And if they wanted to cross the street, apologize for what this Chinese company did as as Canadian citizens. Say, we sorry we worked for stupid China, and we'll help you build back your land, and we'll move the pipeline across the road. And we'll do it, we'll take some hints from those West Virginians and we'll figure it out. And I know we can do it as a country. And I'm asking you guys as Canadians, don't let them divide you. They're dividing you on silly issues. Now they're going to throw in the whole American abortion issue, and you don't have to argue over this thing.
Stop buying into their narratives.
Stop buying into all of their narratives. I am utterly, trust me, pro-life, but I am pro-all life. That's why one of the reasons I don't eat meat. But I'm not going to condemn you if you guys do. Probably half my family members, they would just say, yeah, I ain't going to stop hunting for you, man.
Huh. So be it.
I
don't get me wrong, man. If you brought me a deer steak, I'm just saying, I'm all for wild game because I know it was, as long as it was ethically shot, ethically sourced, so to speak. It's just, anyways, I'm not going to get into that.
We're Canadians. We're kind. We know how to take care of each other.
That's right.
Help the people in the East. Don't worry about, the government officials. You in Alberta and in Saskatchewan and Manitoba and stuff. Help the people in Newfoundland. They're dying down there. The government has trashed their fishing industry, and foreign fishermen have come in and started destroying it, and they're getting the fishermen fighting with the indigenous. Help them over there. Go and buy their fish and their lobsters and whatever it is they catch over there. Help us in BC with our tourism. We want to share BC with you. We don't want it to be called Bring Cash. We want it to be beautiful British Columbia, and we want you to learn about our culture and our way of life. We want you to come fishing, man. We'll help you catch a steelhead and a spring salmon and a sockeye and all that stuff. We don't want the government to regulate on who can fish and pay for each tag, and it's ridiculous. We want to go in. Okay, I'm sorry to say it, Lloydminster, but I can't handle it. The whole place smelled like gas, but
oil. But anyways,
whatever. It was terrible. But I loved Okotoks. It was a beautiful, beautiful place, and I liked going into all your guys' old fashioned used to be jails, and it has antique stores, and I loved the sunsets in Saskatchewan and the prairies, and of course Alberta had, like I said, this most beautiful black gardening soil I've ever seen, and I love the friendliness of Manitoba, and I loved the people, the Ojibwe in Northern Ontario, and the people of the Yukon have my heart, though. Out of considering BC, it's the people of the Yukon that have my heart. But I think, like I said, I'm rambling now, so just take care of one another. Be kind. My other favorite quote, you'd think I'd be giving more scripture, but my other favorite quote is, be the change you want to see. So it can start with you. Be the change you want to see. If you want to see change, you be it. Don't let a bunch of elite rich people tell you what to do.